we have Mr. David O'Brien, who is going to talk to us about leadership from the inside out. So instead of trying to portray all of that glitz and glamour, putting on those facades, having true, authentic leadership starts from who you are on the inside. And David O'Brien has been teaching people how to have this leadership from the inside out perspective for more than 25 years. He is an award-winning author. He's a speaker, and he trains people through executive MBA programs all across the country. So we are excited to have him. His first book is The Navigator's Handbook, 101 Leadership Lessons for Work and Life, and it is a practical guide for unlocking leadership potential that exists in every person. So, David, welcome to Walking in Destiny.
Hey, Benicia, it's great to be with you. Thank you so much.
Welcome, David.
It's wonderful. I look forward to this. And hey, Fontana, how are you today?
I'm good. Good.
That's good. And Nick, a shout-out to you from Bloomfield, Connecticut. Congratulations on your book.
Thank you. Awesome.
So, David, we are talking about leadership from the inside out. Tell me more about what that really means.
Well, it's really about a journey that I've been on for the past, as you mentioned, Benicia, about 25 years now. I've been deeply curious about leadership, and over the last 15 or 20 years, I've been a very engaged student of it, trying to figure out what separates great leaders from all the rest. And this journey has taken me to conversations and work all over the world, all over the country with people at all different levels from all walks of life. And one of the things that has become crystal clear for me, and frankly came to my attention or became clear 5 or 6 years ago, and that is one of the greatest and most important characteristics of really effective leaders is that they lead from the heart and the head. And conventional thinking, unfortunately, in a lot of circles, particularly, going back a number of years, was that leadership is really about the head. And the truth of the matter is it's a combination. And I believe very passionately that it starts from within, that it's about our own clarity and purpose, driven by our core values, driven by, to an earlier point that was made, our authentic self. And it really starts there, and I think that that's an important foundation for all of us on the show and of course, the listeners, too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, guys, do you have any questions for Mr. O'Brien here?
I do,
Sure.
actually. I just had a comment. I just want to say that I love what it is that you do. I think it is so important that we understand that until the inside has been reformed, nothing on the outside will change. Now, let me just ask you, what are the top 3 leadership lessons that you learned personally over the time of you actually doing this?
Well, it's a great question. Thank you for asking. I think that as a beginning point, and this is probably the most important lessons I've learned, and you can imagine over the last 25 years I've been fortunate to learn a few things about leadership, being a passionate learner and student of it, but clearly the most important and significant one that has been a real life changer for me because I apply this to leadership in all of the roles that I play, and that is that leadership is a choice. It's a choice that every one of us makes every single day, and it has far less to do with what our job title is, whether we're working at all, what stage of life we're in, what walk of life we're from, but rather it's a choice that we make every single day to be a role model. Another one that comes to mind is that in many ways that's part of it, that leadership is a lot about being a positive role model, because every single thing we do is modeling a particular behavior. And if we wish to inspire the positive behaviors in others, it starts with us, regardless of our job, regardless of our title. And I think a third, perhaps, if I can put it in that context, is that in many ways I believe that leadership is about bringing out the best in people. So often, and this is in very, variety of organizations and different parts of the world, where sometimes managers or people that are trying to be leaders have a tendency to look at the negative or shortcomings of people. But I think in many, many ways, in fact, in my book, The Navigator's Handbook, I talk about it as the greatest gift of the leadership path, that we as leaders have an opportunity and capacity to bring out the best in people, to bring out the goodness in people, which, by the way, and I'm sure you know this, it resides in everyone.
That is actually a great statement, David. As a fellow colleague, I always talk about, just that greatness that's in everyone. And as I sit here and think about your title, The Navigator's Handbook, which transcends to me as a person in control. Mm-hmm. So as I read your book, and as our many listeners read your book, what is the core takeaway message that you want us to walk away with?
Thank you, Nick. It's about the fact that leadership resides in all of us, that every single one of us has been given opportunities, is given opportunities, countless opportunities every day to be a leader, to demonstrate leadership in all walks of life, in whatever we do. And back to your point, about taking ownership, and I think of it in the context of driving, my success and driving the outcomes and future and all of that. It's really about personal accountability. It's about owning it. It's about taking responsibility. It's about stop making excuses. It's about, not allowing someone else to define who I am or my success or what I stand for, but rather being deeply connected to my core values and allowing my core values to drive my behavior, my decisions, my motivation, et cetera, et cetera.
Sounds like you know who you think you are.
Well, it's been a long journey, and thank you for that feedback. I think a central part of it, in terms of key characteristics, people will often ask, so what are the key characteristics of leadership? And I think it begins with self-awareness. In fact, I have to tell you, over the last half dozen or so years, I've had a leadership word of the year. That, by my estimation, kind of becomes a central piece to my writing, my thinking, my conversations, my speaking work, my consulting, coaching work, etc. Last year, it was self-awareness. And so one of the common denominators that very effective leaders have in common is that they have a very high level of self-awareness, what they can do better, what they do well, what they stand for, etc. I might add that this year's leadership word of the year is congruence, and that's congruence in the context of walking the talk. It's about my behaviors and my actions being congruent with the words that I speak. And one of the things that I know for sure about very effective leaders is that there is complete and total congruence between what they say and what they do.
Great.
No, we have another caller who has a question for you. Go ahead.
Please.
I know that you also work on team effectiveness, and I know it's hard to be a leader if nobody's following.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is a great ratio that as you have a team, some people stay in long, some people fall out, but as a leader, how can you know that you're on the right track and that you are building a strong team? Some people drop out, and sometimes we take that as a big, it's not working.
Right.
What would you say a ratio would be that you could say that, you're still on a good track, taking that into consideration?
Well, it's a wonderful question. What is your name, please?
My name is Charmaine.
Hey, Charmaine, thank you so much for the call and the wonderful question. One of the first reactions that I have or responses is, and I have similar questions in my conversations with leaders. What can I be doing to be a more effective leader, to get my team more engaged? And one of the first questions I ask is, so what is your role in where it is today? Whether it's they're operating on a scale of 1 to 10, whether it's they're operating at a level 2 or 9 or 10. What role do you play in that? And then I think the second part of it would be asking the team, why are we together? What are we trying to achieve? And what are the values that we share? I do a lot, to your point, I do a lot with team engagement and participatory decision-making in my consulting and training work. And one of the things that I've known to be very true is that people support what they help to create. And so by engaging the team and getting them to look at where are we on this continuum of effectiveness and on this continuum of impact, where are we in that? Because they can provide. I go by the belief that everybody that has ever worked for me is really, really smart, and some of them, thankfully, are just plain brilliant. And so the message there is that I think engaging the team and asking them where they think they are and what they could be doing more of, what they might need to be doing less of, all of that serves to create greater clarity and purpose for the team, and also, I think at even a deeper level, a higher level of community, particularly when you incorporate the question or the conversation about our shared values. I think that's a very, very powerful piece. It's also a very powerful piece in the book, The Navigator's Handbook. I talk about that in terms of building the sense, creating a sense of community. People want to belong. They want to be part of something, and they want to know that you as the leader are taking them in the right direction. And they have ideas, they have suggestions, and so I think it's a combination of those things.
Wow, David, you have really added to our discussion about some of the things that we need to be cognizant of as we're moving into a new year. We really want to make sure, like you said, that we're congruent. We're not just saying what we want and telling other people what we do, but really behind the scenes, we are living the kind of life that exemplifies all the things we want. So I love it.
Could I share one quick story with you from the book, Benicia? Do we have a minute?
Oh, yes, definitely. Go ahead.
Sure. So I've been of the belief and have been of the belief and continue to be of the belief for a very long time that every day, every one of us wakes up and we play a screen in our head in our first moments of consciousness that really has a big impact on where our day goes. And I've had that belief for a very long time. At one time when I was on a project in Washington, D.C., working with a group of clients over several days, we had a great conversation about the behaviors that are outlined in my book that include victim, critic, bystander, and navigator. And navigator is about being guided by our core values and taking the high road and doing the right thing. Well, at any rate, about 3 o'clock in the morning on one of the overnights that I was there, I woke up and I had this vision in my head of WMIS, AM, and FM, and I had no idea where it was coming from. But after further and careful kind of meditation on it, it came to my attention that the WMIS is what's my internal screen, which is a question we need to ask ourselves every day. And the AM is the appreciation mode, and the FM is the fear mode. And it exists in every single one of us. And so I ask my clients, I ask the people that I get to work with, what is your screen? Every morning, every one of us has one. And when we wake up and we're in a place of gratitude, it has a huge impact on where our day goes. But when we're in a place of fear and frustration and thinking of all the things that are not working, guess what? It becomes our reality.
Oh, my gosh, that is so amazing. Yes, definitely. And, David, I know our listeners can learn so much more from you about their leadership. Can you please tell our listeners where they can get more information from?
Sure. Thank you very much. My website is www.workchoicesolutions.com. Again, www.workchoicesolutions.com. I might add, on that website, there's a wonderful resource called Learning Resources, and it's on the Navigator bar, and within the Learning Resources section, there is a wide array of free assessments, leadership assessments, many of my articles, maybe a dozen of my articles that have been published over the past few years. There's even some PowerPoint for some training classes that I've done recently in a public forum. There is a wide range of free learning resources that are all designed to help bring out the best in leaders at any level, regardless of their job title.
Amazing, David. So that's workchoicesolutions.com?
That's correct. WorkchoiceSolutions, workchoicesolutions.com. And just a quick aside, that came out of the belief that we all make choices every single day. And if we can help people to have a broader range of choices, we have better solutions. That's the idea behind the name, Work Choice Solutions.
Wonderful. Well, David, it has been a pleasure to have you today. And we are looking forward, and we know our audience members are going to check you out and get so much more information about leading from the inside out.
Thank you, Benicia. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
All right, and thank you, Fontana. Thank you, Nick. And
Sure.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone.